knives, dishes, knives, dishes. Yeah, knives it is. What's up, my YouTube fam? I guess we'll start the video with a Praetorian. How about that? Freaking happy with this knife. So yeah. Oh, and we can actually start it from this side too with a bam. That's a Benza 21 with the Insingo blade and some inlays. Got this one from KME User to do some reviewing and checking out and playing with. So I got a video for you guys right quick. It is an OTF video. As most of you know, my buddy Scott Big Bore sent me this Microtech as a gift, which I am madly in love with now. And I thought, well, you know what? Now that I've got a nice OTF here, I can do a video that I've been needing to do for a while, and that is on these two knives. They are both made by a company called Heli Tech, and they're both OTFs. There's a friend of mine named Pete Mitchell who owns Tuscaloosa Gunsmith and Tuscaloosa Locksmith. And he's got a shop, a brick and mortar here in Tuscaloosa, where he customizes firearms, works on them, does all sorts of gunsmithing. He also owns a locksmith business. And inside his brick and mortar, where he does all his gun work and everything, he sells knives. And he's got a case from this company called Heli Tech. And I had never heard of them prior to going in there and talking to him. And he gave me these two OTFs here to review and check them out and get a knife guy's perspective on them and see what I thought about them. So I've got two Heli Tech OTFs here. Let me break them both out. They both come in this nice Heli Tech box here, and then in this little clasp, like Velcro, got a belt loop on it, pouch here. One of them is heavy, and one of them is not as heavy. The heavier of the two is this one here, and you can tell the size difference looking at it next to a Microtech. It's a big knife, but it's not super thick. I mean, it's about as thick as a Microtech, and you can look at the design of the clip on the other one. Let me go ahead and pick it up, and I'll show you. Looking at the design, you can tell they used some of the same design elements when they were trying to do this. I'm guessing they were trying to mimic, in some ways, Microtech's designs. You can see the way it kind of steps out right there and there. But what I was thinking, I get a lot of hits on my budget-minded type knife videos. I've noticed more so than the regular ones, and I think that's because there's a ton of people nowadays that are getting into knives, and they may not be as apt to go and spend $300, $400, $500 on a knife, or go drop, you know, a grand on a Norseman or something like that. So I've been seeing a lot of that lately of you know, people that are getting into more budget-minded knives, because I think there's a ton more people out there that are willing to drop $70, $80, $100 on a knife, way more people than there is people that are willing to drop $500 on a knife. So, and I think there's something to be said about that. The fact that the knife world, where you've got all these guys that buy all these high-end knives, they sometimes forget about the fact that there's a whole nother element to the knife world, and that's the budget knife world. And I think there's not enough content on the internet for budget OTFs. There's a lot of companies out there that offer them. They are out there. They just don't get a lot of press. You don't see a lot of the press like what you see with Civivi and, you know, other budget companies. You don't see a lot of that with OTFs. You see them at gun shows and stuff like that, but a lot of them are junky and crappy. This is one of those companies that kind of rides in between the cheap budget OTFs and the high-end OTFs. This is one that's kind of in between. It's a good option for someone that's wanting to get into OTFs. This is the lighter of the two. This is my favorite one. The firing action is really nice on them. This one's a Tonto, obviously you can see that, and it's got a black DLC finish there with satin flats. It's got the holes in the blade and the black inside there. It's a D2 steel, if I'm not mistaken. And there's a website where you can go check all these out. They've got a ton of different models. I mean, probably 100 different models. You can get them with different finishes. You can get them with like this hydro dip graphic looking stuff on them. They've got thin blue line models for police officers and all that stuff. But anyway, so the heavier of the two has like this, almost like a rubber coating feel to it. It's not rubber, but it almost feels that way. It's really grippy, and this thing's got some awesome weight to it. I wish I could tell you how heavy it is. I don't have a scale here, but it is almost the same weight as this Praetorian. And so if you can look up, I don't have the specs pulled up here, so I don't know, but it's about the same weight as this Praetorian. I don't know how heavy that is. If you're curious, you can go check that out. This one is a nice one too. I like that blade shape. They both came razor sharp, and the action hasn't failed me. I've played with these probably 100 times each, and so far so good, man. No failures at all. The action's nice and springy, nice and tight, I mean. And here's a little bit of a testament to what knife guys think about them. I have a friend of mine who I've known for a really long time. I really respect this dude. I respect his opinion on things very highly. And he works down at Pete's shop. He's been with him for a long time, and he's a dude who builds custom firearms, customizes Glocks, does Cerakoting. You know, he does all this stuff. He works on Microtechs. He does all this stuff, and he carries one. And I believe his was the lightweight model. And he showed it to me while I was down there. And this dude's got the option to carry anything he wants, but he chooses to carry the Heli Tech OTF. And I believe a lot of that is because, I mean, he's got nicer stuff. He's got Microtechs and stuff, but he carries this. He had a Microtech there and showed it to me. But he carries this because it's something that works. It doesn't fail, and he can use it at work without feeling like he's sinning, using a $500 knife to beat on at work. But they're nice knives, and I trust his opinion. And if he's willing to carry one around, and he said it's not because they carry them in the shop. He said he carried it before they carried them in the shop. So, it's not just because he works there and they carry it that he carries one. And his was, you can definitely tell, it is not something he just puts in his pocket to go, oh yeah, I carry one. That thing has been used, man. It was beat up. And so I trust his opinion, man. If he tells me that he likes them and he's carried it for a long time and it's worked for him, then I trust that. And that means I can come to you guys and go, hey, this is a good option to look at. If you're a person, or if you know somebody who's really wanting to get into OTFs, because there's a lot of people out there that are, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know what to buy, and you don't want to drop $500 on a Microtech, and you don't want to buy one of those cheap Chinese. There's one that's made by Cutting Edge called the Lightning that's like $20. It comes from China. That's a piece of crap. They're fun for about 3 months until the spring breaks. This is something that rides in the middle there, where you can, I think these are $100 is what they go for on the Heli Tech website, and you may could find them cheaper than that. There's the website right there, helitech.com. I would probably say if you're a guy who wants to get into OTFs, you're not sure which brand to buy, you don't want to spend a ton of money, I'd probably say this would be a good option for you, man. I would comfortably be able to tell you, hey, go check them out. I did look at their paperwork that comes in the box. It comes with a limited lifetime warranty. Now, I don't know what the limitations are on that. I haven't ever had to deal with their customer service, so I don't know. But they do not, obviously, like most companies, they don't cover negligence and breaking things due to abuse and stuff like that. But they do offer a limited lifetime warranty, so that's something to think about too. You may want to do a little research on that. But I just wanted to bring that to you guys, man. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while. I've had these knives for a little bit, and I was hoping to borrow an OTF of high quality from someone so I could compare them. And I did not have the option to do that because I couldn't find somebody that had one that they were willing to part with for a while. And then, of course, you guys know from my previous videos, my buddy Scott, old big bore, he gifted this to me and completely blew me out of the water. So I finally had one I could compare and do a comparison video and just kind of see from super high quality OTF to like kind of mid quality OTF, what's the differences. And obviously there's going to be some build differences. You got carbon fiber on this one, on this particular model, and there's going to be some differences with the tightness of everything. You can hear a little bit of vibration in these. That's obviously to be expected when you're spending $100 on an OTF. But what I can tell you is from what I have seen with the model that my buddy at Pete's shop had on him, that looks like they hold up really well. Like I said, this one, the heavier, the more overbuilt, tough one of the bunch, feels like it's got like a rubberized, tough coating on it. And then the lighter of the two, it feels like it's aluminum scales, and it's got some sort of like a powder coating or some sort of a DLC coating over the top of that. But so far, so good, man. I like them. I think they're cool. I think it's a cool brand for somebody to grab if they're wanting to get into OTFs. I'd say give it a shot. They seem to be decent build quality, and it's definitely a lot better than you're going to get with these $20 and $30 OTFs you see at gun shows and stuff, man. I wouldn't recommend buying those. Even for a 13-year-old nephew, I wouldn't buy one of those cheap, crappy things. So these are a little bit more expensive, but obviously with anything else, especially in the knife world, you get what you pay for in most instances. Now, there's some exceptions to that rule. I've got a couple of, $60 knives that I would, I've got $150 what I paid for that Kaiser Nomad, and I would put it up against any of my more high-end stuff. So sometimes there's exceptions to the rule, but in most cases, you get what you pay for. So you pay $20 for an OTF, you're gonna get a freaking $20 OTF. You pay $100 for an OTF, you're gonna get a pretty decent product in most cases. And if you pay $400 for an OTF, you're gonna get a heck of a lot more than that. So you can, it's pretty true to form on where these land. They're about middle of the pack. And it's kind of funny because a lot of, majority of your knife guys out there are middle of the pack guys. They don't want a cheap, crappy knife. They don't want a crazy high-end knife. They want something that they can pay a reasonable amount of money for and that they can get some use out of. And I think this fits that role. So that's all I had to say about that, guys. I just wanted to put these on camera and tell you what I thought about them. You can check them out at helitech.com, or if you're local to the Tuscaloosa area, you can go see Pete Mitchell or Greg at Tuscaloosa Gunsmith or Tuscaloosa Locksmith, and they can put one in your hands and you can try it out. They've got a bunch of different models in the case down there. But just from what I think, guys, I think it's a go from me. It's definitely it fits a niche out there. It fits that niche of those people that want to get into OTS but don't want to spend a ton of money and also don't want to buy a piece of shit. So that's it, guys and gals. I love you, and I'm out.